Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Beedrill in the Open Great League. This Pokemon got a buff this season with X-Scissor, but I decided not to use it. For an obvious reason, to be fair, because Beedrill needs an extra fast move to get to an X-Scissor. So like I wanted to go for the Fell Stinger as you're gonna get there one fast move earlier. Yes, this is gonna do basically no damage, but also because you are so squishy and you do so much damage with your fast move Poison Jab, you're going to be able to buff your own attack, which is really nice. And I have to say, I think this was the right decision. I think that Fell Stinger is currently better than X-Scissor on Beedrill, even though of course Beedrill with the move X-Scissor going to be a little bit more reliable. You're going to guarantee some damage, while I feel like it's still better to have this Pokemon with Fell Stinger, especially in the lead. And that's why we went for the lead variant of this Pokemon here, because you're going to have the Shield Sword. And basically Fell Stinger allows you to win some matchups in certain shield scenarios which you're not really supposed to win, which is really nice for it. So I really like this one. Here we're gonna see the Medicham coming in from the opponent, as we can go ahead and go for a Drill Run. Gonna get the last shield from the opponent. I can even go for another Drill Run if I want to, but I expected the opponent to swap out, which works out super well for us, as we can go for the Drill Run and Beedrill is just destroying the first opponent here. This team worked so well for me when I played it. It was so much fun as well, as we can now move on into the next game. Let's take a look on who we're going to play here. We're going to play a Ninetales again, but this time around the normal Ninetales, the Kanto Ninetales. This is going to be a little bit awkward because our backline is kind of neutral against it, while our lead is really bad against it. We can take a Weather Ball. We will see the Superior coming in, which of course would be a Pokemon that we would like to see with our lead, but also not really, because they're running Aerial Ace, which is really awkward for us as well. So it's not really looking too good for us at this point of time. The opponent kind of hard countering us at this moment, as you're gonna now go down from a Frenzy Plant from the opponent. We will be able to take an Aerial Ace here. It should do around like 60%, I would imagine. And that's exactly how it did, actually. And we're gonna now swap out into our Umbreon. And Umbreon is supposed to basically win this game for us. If Umbreon doesn't get the shields down or something like this, it's going to be a little bit tricky. One Foul Play is coming through. The opponent's going to let this move go through, as I'm going to be forced to use a shield here. Or not. It's going to be a Scorching Sands, which is kind of interesting. The opponent going to have a Lickitung in the back. And now I really wish that I used the shields, I guess, for my Umbreon, because now we're in a really bad spot. We can still go for a Foul Play, but a Body Slam does less damage, of course, than a Charge move from the Ninetales. I decide to let this move go through as well, and I can swap out now into my Beedrill, trying to get some shields from the opponent, but I feel like this game is already over at this point. I can go for a Fell Stinger, I get the shield. Maybe there's still a chance of winning this game. Let's take a look. We can still shield up the Body Slam. We still get the Ninetales out of the way, but we can knock them out before they can do anything. But can Umbreon clutch this game? This is going to be the question here. We can go for one Foul Play against the opponent's Lickitung, and you're gonna get them low. Can we farm down in time? We can farm them down with a 1 HP and a Dream. Basically got hard-walled in the beginning, but at the end we had a lucky matchup of Lickitung against our Umbreon, which was amazing for me. Next opponent, we're going to have a Pelipper against us. This is going to be okay for us, as we can let this Weather Ball go through. Of course, again, horrible lead for us, but we can try to do some damage. I think they swapped out here. They did swap out into their own Lickitung, which is pretty bad for me. But I will be able to swap into my Umbreon soon, which is going to be nice. So I can align my Umbreon against the opponent's Lickitung for a little bit, which is going to be a more favorable matchup for me than the Lickitung was. The Lickitung, I can keep a Charge move here, and the Umbreon is coming through, going to be able to align against the opponent here. I can let the moves go through and just gain a lot of energy, which will come in clutch later on when the opponent decides to swap out, because it also allows us to swap out earlier later on if we're going to be able to just go for some Charge moves. They swap into their Superior, which is going to be nice for me, as I can now get some damage on them. But also, I can use a shield here, which is going to get up against the Frenzy Plant. I can go for my own Foul Play. Now the Switch Clock should be up afterwards, allowing me to swap out into my Beedrill, and Beedrill can go for the full farm down. I can still survive Aerial Ace here, which is going to be nice. And the opponent is going to go down here, as we will see here next incoming. Most likely the Pelipper, exactly. I can go for the bait with the Fell Stinger. Gonna get them, okay, I'm not gonna get them that low, but I'm gonna get them a little bit lower with this move as well, but it's going to be still a tough one. I'm going to use a shield here just in case it's a Hurricane. It's only a Weather Ball, great play by them, but I can still go for another Charge move, which is going to be our Foul Play. I can swap out, can go for the Body Slam, but it's still going to be a tough one, as the opponent can just shield this move up and swap out into their Lickitung at this point of time. I can just forfeit, as I had already a Hurricane stored. All they needed to knock out my Umbreon later on, so great play by the opponent as well. Don't know if I could have played it better, but it is what it is. We're gonna see here the next opponent having a Pokemon that we really don't want to face. Steelix is going to be one of the most difficult Pokemon for us to deal with, while other Steel-type Pokemon are kinda okay for us. I feel like this one is a difficult one. Like, you're going to have against other Steel-type Pokemon, for example, if you think about Registeel, you're going to have Drill Run still on your Beedrill, which is going to do super effective damage. If you think about the Alolan Sandslash, they're usually running Shadow Claw as a fast move, which both of the Pokemon in the back resist while doing some neutral damage with Lick, for example, on Lickitung, but also with all the Dark-type moves on Umbreon against them. So, usually Steel-types, while it looks a little bit awkward here, are not as bad as it looks like. But Steelix is a little bit tricky. So we're going to have now a very long matchup of basically back and forth here between Steelix as well as the Umbreon. They're going to be able to win this one, but only with a little bit of HP left, allowing me to go for a full farm down here with a Lick on my Lickitung. But I decide to swap out, get some extra energy with Beedrill, and we're gonna get out the Sandslash. I am forced to basically bait the opponent here, as we have to hit a Drill Run. In comes Felstinger, and here you see already why Felstinger is so nice. We're going to be able to get an easier bait against the opponent. If he had X-Scissor, it would take more energy, 5 more energy than Felstinger. So here we're gonna get both the attack buff as well as bull shields from the opponent, allowing me to use another shield, allowing me to knock them out with a Drill Run. But let's see if they're going to swap out onto it. They do not, and now we're gonna be able to get rid of the Alolan Sandslash. And now it's only in the back the Medicham from the opponent. I can still do some damage with my fast move and the Felstinger, which is actually coming in clutch. As you can see, we're gonna put them into half of the opponent's health as they're gonna go for their own charge move. It's going to be the Dynamic Punch, which is going to be very awkward, but we can still go for the Power Whip, which is gonna be all it takes to knock them out, winning us this game with 1 HP on a Lickitung, which was absolutely wild. So, next opponent, we're going to have a Charger Bug in the lead. This is going to be fairly neutral for us. We kind of want to stay in here because never mind, I'm going to swap out here. But you're going to have an Umbreon in the back, which is going to be a little bit awkward. But they're going to go for the Discharge, which is, I guess, the right move because Poison resists Bug typing, I think. So, that definitely does make some sense there. We're gonna get out the Superior, which is fine for me, as I can even still go for another charge move here. It's going to be the Body Slam, but they're gonna go for the Frenzy Plant, and I think they can farm me down afterwards, which makes this a little bit more awkward. Maybe we can still go for a Body Slam, maybe we can still go for the full farm down actually. We can just realign, but we don't get to another Body Slam, forcing us to go for a charge move against the opponent's Charger Bug. Hopefully they're going to shield this move up, and they do. So now we're gonna be able to get the shield from the opponent as well as an attack buff, and this is coming in clutch as the opponent gonna go for the bait. I will be able to go for the CMP tie, I thought, but the game just lags and it doesn't allow me to go for the CMP tie. I definitely would have won the CMP tie, and this is going to make it a little bit more awkward because now I'm going to be forced to basically go for the bait here first. The opponent is mostly going to shield eventually, but I'm actually going to decide to swap into my Umbreon here. Why do I do this? Because I'm most likely going to be able to go for some charge moves here. The opponent goes for some charge moves. And before my Umbreon goes down, I will be able to swap out back into my Beedrill, trying to get a shield from the opponent, or like most likely going to try to get the shield, but also going to clear the debuff that I'm going to take here right now. Because Umbreon is so bulky, I should be able to just store up a charge move here, which would knock them out when it's not debuffed, and that's exactly what we're going to try to do here. We're going to try to swap out, try to go for our own charge move here, but actually I tried to swap out, but it didn't work out, so we went accidentally for the last resort, but luckily I can still go for another charge move, which nearly cost it for me, but I can still just go for a charge move here. But no, like the game, I actually don't know why this even happened. Like, I wanted to definitely go for the charge move there, don't know what happened. I definitely had this game, don't know what happened, honestly, like literally. But we're going to take a look now at the next game. We're going to have the Lickitung coming in here, which of course is a great matchup for our Umbreon. Umbreon is going to be able to go for the foul play here, which is going to do some decent damage. It's just going to be straightforward, honestly. Both are just spamming their moves, so we can talk a little bit about this team in general. Of course, it's a little bit of a lame team. I kind of wanted to build something more creative first, but I felt like this was the best team that I could build, and I kind of wanted to showcase the Beedrill as good as possible. So yeah, this is definitely the best team that I would imagine around the Beedrill at the current time. There are always some issues, but I feel like it's such a strong team against the current meta, as both of the Pokemon in the back going to be decent against Gligar, both of the Pokemon in the back can even still deal with Medicham, even the Umbreon. So, like, this entire team is really decent against the core meta right now. So, really cool team here. We're going to be able to still go for another charge move. The opponent actually going to be able to realign, which I didn't expect, which is kind of awkward. But we can still go for a charge move, and actually the opponent going to go into their Bastion, which is really good for me, because this is going to be one of the most awkward Pokemon to deal with for this team. But luckily we can still go for a Drill Run, which should do around like 60% damage, I think, against the opponent, double super effective. And we can even get the move onto our Beedrill, allowing me to let this move go through, allowing me to go into my Lickitung, as they decide to swap into their own Medicham. We have 2 shields, the opponent still has a Medicham as well as a Bastion against our Lickitung. Usually matchups that we really lose pretty hard there, but I can still go for a charge move here. It's going to be the Body Slam, gonna get them low, and I can go for the full farm down. And at this point of time, I still should be able to reach a Power Whip, and I will be able to reach a Power Whip, but I still have to be careful, because maybe I still need another charge move afterwards, which I will need here, and I can still get to the Body Slam, winning this game with our Lickitung. Thankfully, the Drill Run was able to hit against the opponent. If this didn't happen, I would have definitely had some problems there later on. But we can now move on to the next game, where we're going to encounter the Mandibuzz. Most likely the worst possible Pokemon to encounter for this team, but we can do some damage with our fast move first, and now we can align our Lickitung, which is actually going to be able to still do some decent damage against them. A lot of very bulky Pokemon right now in the Great League, but we can still go ahead and go for the Body Slam spam here with our Lickitung. Again, very straightforward game. It kind of can go either way. I feel like the opponent most likely is still going to be able to come on top out of this because of the Dark Pulse damage just adding up so much. But I'm still going to get the opponent fairly low. Maybe low enough that I can just farm them down with my Beedrill again and get even more energy. But as we can see here, they're going to get there fairly fast. The area is coming through. I'm forced to go into my Beedrill again, and I think I would have been forced to go for a Fell Stinger. I didn't do this, which might have been a mistake, but as you're going to see here, the opponent decides to swap out into the Jellicent. Speaking of mistakes, this was most likely the biggest mistake by the opponent in this game, as we are now going to be able to align our Umbreon against them, and they cannot swap out. The opponent's Mandibuzz has basically nowhere to go either, because they are basically in farm down range for both of our Pokemon, so we're in a great spot here. They're gonna go for the Surf, which is gonna put us around like the half health mark, but I'm actually over farming by a little bit too much here. Should have went for the charge move a little bit earlier. But like this, I can still go for the foul play here. Maybe I try to undercharge, which I do here with a nice foul play. But sadly, it's still too much to knock them out. And now we're gonna still see the final Pokemon in the back. It's going to be the Lantern. And I can just go for the Drill Run. And I don't care about the boost. I just gonna go for the Drill Run. It literally doesn't matter at this point. And I will be able to hit it here, as I can now go for the boost though. And I'm gonna use the shield for sure. The opponent has a Surf, but I just do more damage with my fast move. And I will be able to get the final shield here as well with the X-Scissor, with the Fell Stinger, or just gonna get the knockout and win this game. Next opponent, we're gonna have Beedrill against the Frostlass. Again, horrible lead for us. We're going to swap out into our Lickitung, which is actually pretty decent for this team. Like, you kind of want to lose the lead. You have a great lead against something like Medicham, so you kind of want to try to bait it out with a Lickitung, which still can get you a shield advantage, and then energy advantage with your Beedrill, which is usually how I like to play. But here we're gonna have the Frostlass against us, and I'm going to let this move go through, taking the shield advantage, which is the most important advantage for the Beedrill in the current meta. I will be able to go into my Umbreon and try to go for the full farm now, as the opponent decides to swap out into their own Medicham, forcing me to go for a charge move so I can align my Beedrill against the opponent. They're still going to be able to get to another charge move before I can go for my Drill Run, so I'm forced to use a shield here in case it's a Psychic, which it isn't. It's going to be the Ice Penetrate. I can go for 5 extra fast moves just to be safe and go for the Drill Run here, which is gonna get the knockout. In comes now against me most likely the Frostlass again, which can resist my fast move exactly, but I can now use a shield and try to farm them all the way down. Let's see what's going to be in the back. It's going to be the Lantern. I'm gonna go for the bait. This is a risky. Can I still get a move off afterwards? We're gonna get the shield here. Can I get to the Drill Run? I can get to the Drill Run. Buffed stab, not stab, but buffed super effective Drill Run is gonna get the knockout against the opponent, and Beedrill was able to sweep the entire team, which was just absolutely massive. Like, destroyed all the Pokemon from the opponent, which is crazy. And now we can move on to the next and final game here for today's video. Horrible lead for us, horrible save swap for us. Again, this team is losing so many leads and so many save swaps, but still always comes back thanks to the Feldstinger boost of Beedrill. It's just so strong in the current meta. We're gonna see the Medicham going for the charge moves. I'm fine with this. I still should be able to get a shield advantage here at this point, as I can go for another body slam, which will come through and gonna get not the shield advantage and also not switch advantage. And this is going to be bad. I'm going to be forced to swap into my Umbreon, and I have to hope that there's something in the back that I can deal with. They're gonna go for the Dragon Claw, not even the superpower, but I can still at least go for a foul play here, which is gonna do some decent damage against the opponent's Shadow Dragonite, but they decide to use a shield here, of course, as they want to protect it. I can use a shield as well, just in case they're gonna go for the superpower, which they do, and in comes now the Lickitung, a matchup that I actually like with my, with my little kitty here, with the Umbreon, which is gonna be able to go for the foul play again, which is gonna do some decent damage. And now it's again a little bit of a trickier one, because the opponent going to be able to spam those body slams. I cannot really swap out into my Beedrill, but Beedrill is kind of important for this matchup, so I'm not sure what I really want to do here. The opponent gonna go for another body slam, but I have to kind of throw my charge move soon. And as you're going to see, I'm going to go for my foul play, decide to swap out into my Beedrill as the opponent decides to swap out into the Dragonite. I can go for the Feldstinger, the opponent going to use a shield, and honestly, Beedrill is just so strong. Going for the full farm down, going for another Feldstinger and winning us this game here. So yeah, this team was a lot of fun. Beedrill is actually so much better than I expected, and that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.